In the center of South America lies a land of volcanoes and tropical jungles. Bolivia, where the sounds, the aromas, and the colors are in harmony with the people descended from the ancient Incas. With its rugged, dusty hues, it's also the land of colorful lakes in the midst of the Andes Mountains. Bolivia is the heart of the South American continent.
Mario, ¿dónde está?
Mario, where are you?
Sí? Okay?
Okay, I'm on my way.
Erwan Guégan, a Frenchman who's been living in Bolivia for 2 years, is on his way to the village of Mapiri on the edge of the Amazon basin. There's no train or plane to access the valleys of the Yungas region, only a steep, twisting road and collective taxis crammed to the limit by their drivers. This is a deadly road. Cut into steep mountainsides, it's nearly impossible to get by an oncoming vehicle. So many lives have been lost here that it's called the Carretera de la Muerte, Death Road.
On est parti de La Paz, on était à 3600 mètres.
We left La Paz up at 3,600 meters. Then the road took us up to 4,600 meters, almost the height of Mont Blanc. And the rest is a descent of 3,500 meters on this road, which will bring us almost to the equatorial forest. So we'll go from -2, -3 degrees to 35 in the shade. There's a legend that says that when you take this road on a foggy night, a second road can open up. So people take that second road and go over the edge. They say that the spirits lure them towards their fate, towards the wrong road.
Erwan knows all the legends about this road, the only access to the Amazonian part of the country. His many trips and encounters here have brought him to know and love this land. By collective taxi, it takes at least a day to get to the village of Mapiri. That's in good weather and with no stopping. At least 3 days when it's raining.
Bien, 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 bien. No te para. No te para, no te para.
As the kilometers roll by, people get on, others get off. The hours drag on. The passengers each do what they can to forget the bumps, dust, and heat that rattle the bones and numb the mind.
¿Hay alguien? Il y a quand même 2 jours de route.
You're on the road for 2 days, so you have the time to talk to people. You go through some rough patches. You run into someone who's in trouble. What I like about places like this is that they're like the sea. You have to help out the person in trouble. So if you break down on the way, people are going to stop. You talk it over, and they'll try to find a solution. You always have the human contact here. This is the country's true riches right now.
The last obstacle on the way to Mapiri, crossing the river. This little city in the heart of the Amazon jungle is like the Wild West, with its gold mines and its pioneers from the four corners of Bolivia and even from all of South America. In high water season, it's impossible to cross the river, so the inhabitants are totally isolated.
Ça va, Mario? Hein? Si, plutôt.
Erwan has been working on a project here that he's quite committed to. The construction of a landing strip to open up the region and thus allow medical evacuations. The landing strip at Mapiri has been ready for 2 weeks, but so far no plane has yet landed here. Erwan is 47 and is no stranger to adventures in far-off lands. He ran an organic pepper plantation in Africa. He went hunting for the treasure of Coco Island. He learned magic with the pygmies, made movies, sold furniture in China. His ability to bounce back from one offbeat project to another, even more wild one, has taken him to 5 continents. A few months ago, he embarked on a new undertaking. He has decided to write his autobiography, relating his 1001 adventures.
You experience an adventure, and then when you get home, you realize you're hooked. And that's how you wind up in Bolivia working in gold and setting up an airline company to help out the local population.
Gold is the main economic activity of Mapiri, and most of the mines are along the river. Big mining companies are working the Bolivian soil with fleets of bulldozers and excavators. But there are also the solitary prospectors who travel the river by pirogue to try their luck picking up the crumbs spit out by the gigantic mines. These men are desperados who toil at the earth or strain the muddy river water for a few flakes of gold.
You should know that the President Evo Morales gave this land back to the Indian communities. Then those Indian communities set up cooperatives. And it's those cooperatives that possess the mining rights. 90% of the mines here belong to the local population.
Victor is one of those souls driven to the Mapiri by gold fever and poverty. For 3 years now, he's been working like a dog on this desolate beach. Victor, with the energy of despair, spends his days running from the hole he's digging to the pump, which is forever getting blocked up with sand, and to the sieve he uses to separate the stones from the tiny flakes of the precious metal.
Is there gold in this river?
Yeah, there's gold in there. But it's the river that decides to deposit the gold or not. The river lays down the law. She deposits what she's carrying here and there. You have to be able to recognize the stones. These, for example, are good. The round pebbles like these, they're no good. You find gold along with the flat stones. They're the boss stones. The others, traders.
Completely cut off from society, Victor lives and works all alone on this little patch of beach. He says that the wild animals of the jungle are his only friends.
Back home, they all think I'm making good money. But I'm earning nothing. That's how it is. I'm earning peanuts. I never come up with more than half a gram. Gold's the devil here. And money is the Lord.
Y la plata es del Señor.
Everything comes from the Lord.
El Señor, todo es del
Everything
Señor.
is God.
Todo es del Dios. Todo.
This crumpled scrap of paper contains the fruit of 3 weeks' hard work, 20 euros worth of gold. Once a month, Victor goes into the village to sell his gold and buy supplies to get him through the following month.
Ciao, Fidel. Gracias.
As for Fidel, he decided to try his luck in a socavón, a gallery dug in the riverbank and which yields too little gold to interest the mining companies. He works alone as well, but it's the price of his freedom.
Eso hay que cuidar, hay que abrigarse bien.
You have to take care of yourself in the mine and cover up well.
Hay sótano, ¿ve?
You have to drink fizzy drinks.
Después,
And above all, never ice-cold drinks.
Cosas, hielos, fresco hielo.
The cold
Eso ataca-
gives you a pain right here, and you can catch a pneumonia.
Hace tiempito y trabajo en... No,
I've been working in this mine for a long
tampoco
time,
no.
and I never get sick because I work at a relaxed pace. I don't eat too
Tampoco no
much,
siento así, comida.
and I don't drink too
No
much
me da
water.
mucha hambre.
I take it easy.
Tranquilo trabajo.
Erwan is inspecting the landing strip this morning. If everything goes according to plan, an airplane should be landing here for the first time this afternoon.
Il a plu toute la nuit. Le terrain.
It rained all night.
Mais bon, ça.
The ground is a bit muddy, but it looks like it should be okay.
Mais bon, la brume là, elle coince
However,
un peu
because of the
sur-
humidity, the mist is kind of clinging to the peaks of the small nearby
des
mountains.
petites montagnes alentour.
I think we'll wait for an hour or two. Then we'll make a decision because the pilot is the only one to decide whether he'll land or not.
Décider s'il se pose ou non. C'est beau ça?
Nice, huh?
Comunicado. El Gobierno Autónomo Municipal de Mapiri, en coordinación con la Junta de Vecinos, Comité Cívico y jefes de zona, comunica a toda la población de Mapiri que a la llegada de la avioneta de estos días deberán estar presentes toda la concurrencia en general en el lugar de la pista, ya que estará llegando un piloto boliviano con la finalidad de fomentar el turismo en nuestro municipio de Mapiri, que a la vez necesitamos transporte aéreo. Atentamente, firma el directorio.
Now you're going to boost tourism. You're really going to do something here. That's great for everybody. When will the plane get here?
Oh, el capitán va a llamarnos.
The pilot will call us in about half an hour, I think, on account of the rain. Okay, bye. Thanks. See you this afternoon?
Okay. Listo.
The weather has cleared up, and the whole village has turned out for the inauguration of the new airfield. They don't have a windsock yet, so Erwan lights a fire at the end of the runway to give the pilot the wind direction.
Cuidado, eh.
We waited all day, but the pilot managed to go around the storm and made a perfect landing, so the runway looks good. I couldn't be happier. We're in business. How you doing? Did you have a good flight?
A bit of turbulence, but it was good.
Let me introduce you to the new airfield manager.
Mira, Capitán Ivo.
This landing strip will help a lot in developing the region, and above all, in emergencies when an ambulance is needed, it can save lives. So it's very important to have a runway and keep it in good working order.
Moi, ce qui me fait plaisir, c'est que les gens soient heureux.
What I like the most is that the people are happy. When you look at the kids' faces, you know it's the first time they've ever seen a plane.
Now that the first plane has landed in Mapiri, Erwan has a new chapter for his book. One more adventure in the life of a free spirit.
All I can say to people is that they should listen to themselves. Don't listen to what people tell you, like, you have to buy a house, you have to have 2 children, you have to have a minivan. Don't listen to what people tell you. Live your own life. I've always done just what I wanted to do. I not only feel free, but I know I am. If tomorrow morning I've had enough of this place, I'll pack my bags and go, even if I don't have any money. I'm going to take my time before finding someone and settling down. It could take 2 weeks, it could take 6 months. That's what life is. In any case, that's what it is for me.
Photography and archaeology are Gabriela Escobar's 2 passions in life. She quite naturally brought them together in one vast project. She travels the length and breadth of Bolivia to photograph every archaeological site in the country, thus building up an inestimable database for historians the world over. Her work is above all scientific, but it also allows her access to nature's most spectacular aspect. Then, the artist takes over.
Es como un caos.
It's chaos.
Casi surrealista.
This landscape is almost surreal.
Formas tan
The geometric forms are really awesome.
Para hacer fotografías es
It's just incredible to photograph. I like the texture of the rocks. It's a kind of construction in the middle of nowhere. So just looking at the forms, your imagination takes wings.
Solo al ver las formas.
Thanks to photography and archaeology, Gabriela is exploring the region of Sur-Lipetz in the southern part of the country. It's also an ideal way to meet the locals, who are often an excellent source of information on the region's history. In Bolivia, nature is a wonderful subject for an artist like Gabriela. Standing before the geysers of the Sol de Mañana, she gives free rein to her emotions.
Nunca me canso de la fotografía.
I will never get tired of photography. It's soothing, and it's definitely something I need. It's my gateway to creativity, which can spring up at any moment. For me, it means savoring everything that's all around and capturing it in an image.
Y tratar de capturarlo en una imagen.
Laguna Verde, close to the borders of Chile and Argentina, is surrounded by majestic volcanoes. This unreal lake is at an altitude of 4,300 meters. Its rich emerald color comes from the arsenic and other minerals suspended in the water. The vestiges of a building and a corral bear witness to very ancient human activity here.
The region's entire economy was based on the transportation of goods by llama. It's the only animal that can survive at this altitude and at such low temperatures. It seems that this was the route they took.
La gente que solía pasar por este lugar
The people passing through here lived lower down, around the Salar, for example, the vast salt flat. It's easier to get food in the valleys, and the temperature is much more bearable. The people who would pass through here carried on trade with the valleys.
Eso es. Y ahora míreme.
Now look at me.
Eso es.
That hand down and the other one up.
Sí.
That's it.
Exacto. Manejando.
Wherever Gabriela goes, her photography is a way to connect with the people she meets along the way. Like Vidal. He was born and raised in this inhospitable region. He has offered to take Gabriela up to the Laguna Colorada, one of Bolivia's most beautiful sites, set in one of its wildest landscapes.
When's their laying season?
In mid-December, On the lake, that's where they lay. They scrape the mud up with their beak into a sort of nest, where they lay a single egg. One egg for each flamenco couple. Look, this is a good spot to shoot from. I think if we get any closer, they'll fly off. As a kid, I used to come here a lot to gather eggs. Then we'd put them in boxes and take them to Chile by llama or donkey to sell them in San Pedro. And there we'd trade 5 eggs for a crate of pears. That's how it worked in Chile. What do you think of that? When I reached 8, I had still never seen a car. The first one I saw, I thought, what is that thing? When we saw the first tourists arrive, we would run and hide. We were afraid. These people with beards and blonde hair, where do they come from? Some other planet? Then, after, it was okay.
Es una sensación que no se puede explicar con palabras.
The feelings you experience here are difficult to put into words. This landscape is one of a kind. It's something that you feel deep within yourself. It's very moving. I would like to keep all this in a box so that it would never disappear and stay just like it is forever.
At San Juan's elementary school, Monday is Citizenship Day, as in all Bolivia's schools. After singing the national anthem, the children present what they've learned in the cultural workshops. Gabriela is eager to share her knowledge. With her visits to her country's schools, she's trying to make the younger generation aware of the importance of the past and the need to preserve the archaeological sites.
Do any of you know about the necropolis here in San Juan? Raise your hand if you know of it. You know about it. And who are our ancestors? Our grandparents. But our ancestors are the grandparents of the grandparents of the grandparents of our grandparents.
Bolivia has a very rich history. The different civilizations that inhabited the country before the arrival of the conquistadors in the 16th century have all left their mark on the land. Gabriela is not trying to give a master class, but rather to plant a little seed of history in the mind of each of these children.
Archaeology is the science that studies the past.
Very good. Ephraim has given the best answer. Let's give him a little hand.
más de 500 años en la tierra del maíz. Llegaron los meses extraños a sembrar desolación.
After the classwork, a field trip to the necropolis on the outskirts of town.
Everybody's going to take a look at what's here in the tomb. Before, people used to believe that when you died, you passed over to another world. So they would place small objects belonging to the deceased in the tomb. Here, we explain just what an archaeological site is, what would be the best way to preserve it, because the site could be a source of revenue for the community. In the future, it will be the responsibility of these children to take care of it. The idea is also that when the children go home, they tell their parents, "Today, an archaeologist talked to us about the place where our ancestors lived." And so the parents also start to be aware that it's important to preserve these sites.
If you've never experienced the joy of climbing, it's hard to understand why one would spend hours of effort to get the top of a rock in the heart of the desert. But for the Morales brothers, it's simply a game they play together every time they can get out of the city and take refuge in nature. Miguel and Diego have the same interests. Both of them are firefighters, mountain guides, and paragliding champions. Miguel and Diego live in downtown La Paz. Together, they've set up a little company that organizes paragliding flights and mountain treks.
A long time ago, we went on an expedition near Sajama with my father and his friends. The last day on the way back to the city, the car broke down. There we were, two kids, a 5- and 10-year-old, abandoned in a four-wheel drive for 8 to 10 hours because my father and his friend went off looking for help somewhere. I don't know exactly how long it was, but an entire day on our own wondering, where are they? They are going to come back, aren't they? At night, the cold was overwhelming because we hadn't planned on sleeping out, and we didn't have any sleeping bags, no tent, nothing. But looking back, that was really a good experience. Our first taste of adventure.
Not long ago, Miguel had a serious paragliding accident. When he got out of the hospital, it was his brother Diego who encouraged him to start flying again. For Miguel's comeback flight, they gave themselves a challenge: to fly over the Salar de Uyuni, the vast salt flat in the far southwest of the country. What is it they're hoping to share together? Tons of dust, encounters, and adventures in the country's high-altitude deserts.
Come closer if you want. You'll see better. The most important thing in victim transportation is coordination.
First stage, Sajama. This village, perched up at 4,200 meters in the middle of the desert, is inhabited by only a few families of llama herders. As volunteer firefighters, Miguel and Diego decide to mix business with pleasure by giving a first aid course to the rangers of Sajama National Park.
This is very important to us. We do have a small infirmary here in the village, but it's fairly rudimentary. And this course is very useful.
For example, if an accident happens up in the mountains on the trail to the summit of Sajama, it's a long way to go from there back down to here. It's very important that we know how to help the victim and also to know the best way to make a stretcher and how to transport a person, because the ambulance can't get up there.
Mr. Santiago, hello.
I'm Miguel from La Paz. How you doing? We heard you had a little problem. Where does it hurt?
My neck hurts. I had an accident. I was riding and the horse fell onto me, onto my side.
The two brothers always have their first aid kit with them. They've been trained to monitor vital signs in all kinds of situations, sometimes extreme, like accidents on the road or in the mountains.
I'll apply some ointment, then we'll give you a neck brace, okay? That should put you right.
Being a volunteer firefighter is a big part of my life. It also fits right in with my lifestyle. It allows me to keep helping others, whether it's fighting fires or a medical intervention like here. It's important that you take things easy now. It's going to be kind of awkward to move around with the neck brace. You're going to move a bit like a robot. Whatever you're doing, be careful. You feel better now?
Santiago doesn't have much to offer the two brothers, but a mate of coca leaves is always welcome in these regions where the altitude is hard to endure.
But this is so we can identify them. There are several herders up here, each with his own flock. But sometimes they get mixed up during the day. This way, we can tell them apart. You know, sort them out.
Non ascolti, dica. Vaya.
We like doing this, so we seize the opportunity when we can. We're lucky to be able to help people out with something very simple, something small, but very concrete. And that could be truly useful. When you do that, you feel better because you're helping people who really need it. You know, that's a good thing, right? Sharing what you know puts a little smile on the trip.
Miguel and Diego continue their voyage into the country's deep south. The rutted road is taking a heavy toll on their vehicle, and the vibrations plunge them into silence. Miguel clenches his teeth because his back is hurting him. He's afraid he won't be able to fly. From time to time, someone appears from nowhere and reminds us that people actually manage to live in these steppes with the searing heat by day and glacial cold by night.
We're in the middle of nowhere. It's absolutely beautiful, far from everything. Every spot we pass by, we wonder if we'll be able to fly, to climb. What can we do out here? In the morning, we watch the clouds roll by, how they shift. It's like a drug. It's a vice that keeps us in its grip all day long.
The Salar de Uyuni is a vast salt flat, the largest in the world. In the rainy season, the salar is covered by water and it becomes impossible to cross. And even during the rest of the year, it's dangerous to cross, for the weight of the vehicles can break through the crust of salt.
Oh, wow. Qué cool. Poco pensado estar en un lugar así.
It's hard to imagine such a place.
Tan poco y
There's so
tanto
little,
para ver a la vez.
and yet there's so much to see. It's awesome.
Alucinante.
Totalmente, ciencia ficción.
Absolutely. It's something sci-fi, a parallel universe. We're here above the rest of the world. The salt is like a layer of clouds, and below all that, there's the rest of the planet with its everyday problems. It's really something else.
Máscara.
The balaclava is to protect your skin from the sun, because you can get a nasty burn. I wear gloves too, so my hands don't get hurt. Boots to protect me from the water. The salt burns. If you have any scratches, the salt gets in and it stings.
Hello, how you doing? We want to cross the salt flat. Hi, my name's Miguel. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Diego. How are you?
Do you know if it's rained a lot? Can we get across the flat?
You can get across easy. Didn't rain at all. No problem.
Should we go this way or that way?
No, go that way.
Preciosa, irrompible, con ojos de esmeralda. Noche y día me pregunto si mañana me cantará la melodía de su infancia. Me gustaría murmurarla con ella. Hay una sombra que se aleja como el ángel de la botella, jineteando un tordillo. Quisiera acompañarlo y pietinar la tierra añorada Pachamama hasta el amanecer de un nuevo día.
Me encanta este país.
I really love this country. We're coming to the end of our adventure. We had a great week. We revisited spots we haven't seen for so many years, since our childhood. It was really great to share it all with my brother, now that we're adults. The only thing we have to do now is make our long-awaited flight.
The two brothers have found the ideal spot to take off. There's no turning back now for Miguel. He wants to prove to himself that his back operation can't keep him from plunging once again into the void.
I haven't flown for a long time. Frankly, I'm a bit scared. But hey, the conditions are pretty good. It's really moving for me to get back up in the air. This flight is the cherry on the cake. Doing what you love the most.
It just fascinates me. It's my whole life. I dropped everything for paragliding. That shows you just how much I love it. It's freedom and purity. You're all alone against the elements. You drink in the scenery. Nature, it fulfills our lives completely. Sometimes, it's also a challenge you give yourself, to see how far you can go, to strive to surpass your own limits, to progress and improve. It's hard to explain. It's something that is just so beautiful.
Somewhere on Earth is off to Brazil, the largest Latin American country, as vast as a continent. Far from Rio's famous beaches, there is another Brazil where the spirit of adventure and mystery still lingers on. Expedito and Raimundo are brothers. Their lives are inextricably linked to a legendary river, the Paraguassu, and their boat, a saveiro, that looks like it's straight out of a swashbuckling adventure book. They earn their living with this sailboat. The Nordeste, further north near the equator, is one of Brazil's poorest regions. The Lençóis do Maranhenses on the Atlantic coast is a bewitching sight. Only a few men live in this desert where time itself has evaporated, and the beauty of nature reigns supreme. Joyo's son is right at home in the Lençóis. Roy was born near New York. He landed in Brazil about 30 years ago in the Chapada Diamantina. This history and archaeology enthusiast has become an ardent defender of a vast territory where he roams every day.
I found my spot in the world. It's, I think everyone should look and try to find it. Some people are lucky. I was lucky. I found it.
Brazil is the largest country of South America and the 5th largest of the planet. It's a land of paradox and contrast. Urban sprawls exist side by side with vast, unspoiled regions, still a far cry from the modern world. The forests and rivers are characteristic features of Brazil. When the Europeans discovered this new world, the majestic rivers were their gateways into the vast inland territories. The Paraguassu is a legendary river. It empties into the Bay of Salvador, the country's 3rd largest city in the state of Bahia on the Atlantic coast, 1,800 kilometers north of Rio. The Paraguassu River is the home of the last saveiros. These boats are a part of the country's traditions and culture. They even say that the soul of the Brazilian people hovers over Bahia, above All Saints Bay.
We don't go by the clock here. We go by the wind. We know when we set sail, but we never know when we'll get back. That's up to God. We work with nature and the wind. We don't check our watches. The watch is just for the time we set sail. We're free. This is absolute freedom.
The saveiros sail the calm waters of the Paraguassu and the vast Bay of Salvador. These boats are not made for the open sea, so they always hug the coastline. The runs are short, but still can take several days depending on the winds, currents, and tides. The saveiros ship all sorts of freight: sugarcane, fruit, crockery, sand. They may also carry passengers on the odd trip. For the past 15 years, Raimundo and Expedito have been doing the same run between the villages along the river and the city of Salvador. The two brothers are old hands at the Severos, and when they're not working their boat, they live on an island in the bay.
Eu prefiro até morar aqui, aí dentro.
I'd rather live on the boat than in Salvador. It's true, the city is beautiful from a distance, but a lot less when you get closer.
Pra mim é feio.
I like to see it from out here, or on TV.
Na televisão.
The origin of the Severo is steeped in mystery. They say that the Portuguese brought sailors from India to train Brazilian shipbuilders. These flat-bottomed craft were perfectly adapted for sailing the rivers and close to the shore. For centuries, the Severos would ship the materials necessary for the construction of the villages and religious buildings, like the São Antonio Monastery built in the 17th century by French monks. The Franciscans established this mission on the river to convert the native populations. São Antonio is the country's second oldest Catholic church. When the monastery was being built, the Paraguassu River was Brazil's major commercial artery. After a day of sailing, the Severo skippers moor their boats on the Ilha do Mare, the island of the sea, a little patch of land in the middle of the Bay of Salvador. The two brothers have to take on several hundred kilos of freshly cut bananas before the heat becomes too oppressive.
Essa aqui é procurada. Aqui é procurada porque é natural.
There's a big demand for this kind of banana
Faz uma vitamina, não precisa nem botar açúcar, porque
because it's natural, sweet,
importante.
very sweet.
Nós pega o frete porque
Banana shipping makes up a good part of our business.
nós leva em 15 dias.
Well, there's not very much else to transport
meio
here.
até de sobrevivência.
Doesn't pay much,
Que é
but we manage to do a lot with a very little.
muito. Nós vamos
And thank God, because this is
E aí não vem da agora,
how we
vem
get
do
along.
Tipo dos meus avós. I
know this river very well. I've been making this trip for 15 years. I sailed this river so many times with my father when I was little, I know it by heart. I know where the rocks and sandbars are. I know where it's safe to anchor. Sometimes I'll think about all the time I've spent on this river. It really moves me. I love this boat. I love traveling, even if it doesn't bring in much money.
Times are tough for the Severos. Even though the country is enjoying an economic boom, it's harder and harder for them to compete with the trucking industry. On the Paraguassu, the sailors' experience is handed down from one generation to the next. Raimundo and Expedito learned everything about their craft from their father. He taught them the ancestral sailing skills, but that's not all.
If a Savero skipper doesn't know how to cook, he doesn't eat. 3 days at sea, 3 days without food, we'd get home with an empty belly, shriveled up, starving.
Tonight is football night on the radio, and the Saveros are headed for Salvador, where they'll deliver the bananas. At dawn, the boat comes within sight of Salvador's skyscrapers, the world of the big city and the world of the sailors. Each goes its own way, ignoring the other. The little world of the Saveros lives on traditional beliefs and superstitions. Every time Expedito and Raimundo cross the bay, they place their fate in the hands of the goddess of the sea. The bananas are swallowed up by this remarkable bustling hive on Salvador's port, one of Latin America's largest covered markets. They don't stay very long, hardly an hour, just enough time to stock up on supplies. For Expedito, the less time spent in the city, the better.
Ainda tem choro ainda. Ainda tem choro.
Today, this 100-year-old boat is getting a second festive youth as a collective taxi. For over the past few days, the entire country has been gearing up for Carnival with its intoxicating rhythms.
Hello. I've got a problem with the mast. The last one wasn't very good either. This one isn't straight at all. It shifted, so it's tilted too far back, and the Savero is sluggish. The other mast had the same problem. It leant back.
Why didn't you come sooner?
Because we've got this problem with the mast.
If you'd come sooner, it'd already be fixed. It's nothing. You come in here on a Saturday, it's my day with the kids. It's bad timing. You know how we Brazilians are. We'll do it on Monday. I'll take the mast off, cut it, do it the way you want.
Meanwhile, they have to replace a faulty pulley, the only mechanical part of the boat. It's up at the top of the mast, at the top of a 12-meter tree trunk.
It's very dangerous. He's really brave to climb that mast. I'm not that brave. I'm not macho enough.
Just 2 shipyards in Brazil still build Saveros, and only about 10 of these boats are still sailing. Where the river meets the ocean is where the Saveros' fate is played out. Raimundo and Expedito live a simple life, following the whims of the wind, the current, and the sea.
Eu gosto do que faço.
I enjoy what I do. If you don't like what you do, it's not worth the effort. I really love my life. It's harder in winter, but in summer, with a gentle breeze, it's just great. Such peace.
The Saveros have remained unchanged for centuries. There are no blueprints to construct these boats. The secrets of the Saveros remain locked away in the memory of the rivermen. A strange land. It looks like a desert that the rains have not abandoned. In the Lençóis do Maranhenses, a mystical alchemy has blended everything together. This is a scorched landscape made up of ocean, wind, sand, and the fresh water of the lagoons. Joyason is 25 years old. He's treading the land of his childhood. He lives in a small town 2 days' walk from this spot, here where he was born. Whenever he can, he comes back to the Lençóis to visit his parents who live in this desert near the equator in Brazil's Nordeste region.
Eu gosto aqui mais porque eu fico com a liberdade, né, do que eu quero fazer.
Here I'm free. In town, you're not really free to do what you like.
O que a gente quer fazer porque
everyone has their own little space.
Então, quando eu chego aqui,
when I come here,
para mim,
almost all of it is mine.
Então eu faço o que eu quero.
It's like a dream come true.
Sonho, e
I'm at
fico
peace,
muito à vontade.
and that doesn't happen
então,
in town.
A gente não fica muito à vontade.
Before, there was no one living here. In the 1950s, Joyason's family, fleeing a severe drought in the Sertão, an arid inland region of Brazil, decided to settle in an oasis in the Lençóis. To survive, Joyason's ancestors came to a desert where fresh water can be found just beneath the surface of the sand. Joyason is always glad to see his horse when he comes back. He named him Great Tiger, and he's an ideal mount for galloping across the dunes. In the rainy season, countless freshwater lagoons form on the surface. They're not a mirage like you'd find in other deserts the world over. They're very real. Lençóis means linen in Portuguese, and indeed, this white expanse looks like a sheet dried by the sun and buffeted by the wind. The rainy season has just begun. It lasts 6 months and completely transforms the landscape. The scorching heat and the influence of the ocean, the Lençóis suffer the effects of the weather. The lagoons are formed by water from aquifers lying just beneath the surface of the sand. This bounty of fresh water is the source of life in this arid environment. In just a few weeks, the plant and animal life reflourish in the Lençóis lagoons after lying dormant through months of drought.
Olha, essa é uma pininga.
It's a paninga.
É difícil a gente encontrar.
They're quite scarce.
Ela vive numa lagoa.
It lives in the lagoons, in the water for 6 months, and then it burrows down into the sand for 6 months.
Então ela é muito privilegiada, ela está
It's lucky to be able to live like that in the lagoons. I protect them from the predators. I've always done that. I'm going to take this one and move it to a deeper lagoon because I think it's not doing too well here.
Então é isso.
How to grasp the dimensions of this bewitching land? In this vast desert, distances are measured in days. Joyasun has learned to adapt to this environment where man-made time evaporates and one has to cling to life.
Eu nasci e me criei aqui na Oasis, chamada Baixa Grande, né? Então quando eu tinha
I grew up in the
7
Baixa
anos,
Grande
eu
Oasis.
comecei a andar com meu pai.
When I was 7, I started going out with my father to tend the livestock.
Então a gente passava 2,
We'd go out
3
into the
dias
Lençóis for 2-3 days at a time. We'd sleep outside, no tent or anything. The dunes would be our walls, our shelter. And to sleep, we'd dig out a sort of bed in the sand.
Uma cama e aí dorme.
Joyasun is on his way to visit his community on the vast beaches that border the desert. During the rainy season, fishermen set up temporary encampments on the shore. Fishing is the principal activity and the main source of revenue for these communities. It's a collective effort, everyone doing their part. Then they share out the catch among the families.
Tem muito peixe, a gente está pegando.
We got a lot of fish. And we're going to catch even more. It's not always like this. It depends on the season. Sometimes we don't catch anything. Today we'll get 20, 30 kilos, but sometimes you end up with no more than 5 or 6 fish in the net. It depends. We dry them and then we sell them. We could sell these in 2 days. It depends on the number of buyers. The fish we don't sell will allow us to get through the next 3 or 4 days before we go out fishing again. And that's how we manage.
Joyason's family lives here. In the dry season, they tend their flocks. The rest of the time, they farm and fish. The inhabitants of the Lenchois live almost completely on their own, cut off from the rest of the world in their 2 oases. Nature is not very generous here, but they do manage to grow vegetables and some fruit. In the rainy season, they harvest cashew nuts, which they then sell or barter in the neighboring villages.
The
cashew harvest begins with the rainy season. But since the shell is very fragile, the rain can ruin the nuts. If water gets inside, the nut rots and it's no good anymore. Out of 50 kilos of cashew nuts, we sometimes end up with no more than 20 kilos that are good. The rest gets damaged by the rain.
Joyason grew up on this land, far from the bustling world. Here where nature and beauty are so much more imposing than man. This landscape of shifting sand and water radiates a certain harmony. The Lenchois do Maranhenses are a haven where the inhabitants seem to be waiting for something. The Lenchois possess a fascinating allure, tinted with colors of a voyage in counterpoint to every other place on Earth.
I'm
proud to live in and be part of this place. For me, it's a dream. It's the best place in the world, that's for sure. This is my place. It's wonderful. I'm going to stay here. I'm really happy. I'll never leave. I think I'll stay here forever.
The Chapada Diamantina, situated less than 500 kilometers from the Atlantic coast, is a land of mountains, canyons, and wide open spaces. In the late 1970s, Roy was 30 years old and living in the United States, dreaming of adventure. Then he discovered Brazil.
When I first came to the Chapada Diamantina, no one ever visited this place. There was no road up, no way to get here. And I said to myself, I said, wow, I found it, this is the place. And it was just like love at first sight. I really didn't decide, it was decided for me. And the place just grabbed me. And I said, wow, yeah, I can handle that. I love it. So I just stayed. Just never even thought about leaving. It's just a great place. I found my spot in the world. I think everyone should look and try to find it. Some people are lucky. I was lucky. I found it.
In the mid-19th century, the Chapada Diamantina was the scene of an incredible diamond rush. Thousands of adventurers flocked here to try their luck. Roy is going to spend the night in the mountains, in an old diamond prospector's cabin. Roy fought intensely to protect the Chapada Diamantina. He campaigned for the region to be declared a natural reserve. Then in the 1980s, the Brazilian government decided to create a natural park. And since there has to be someone to manage it, Roy was quite naturally recruited for the job.
Yeah, I said, well, it sounded like a really great thing, and it was interesting. But basically, they just gave me a .38 gun and a badge and a Jeep, and said, "Go get them, make a park." So I was director and the guard and the secretary and the driver. It was everything in one. It was only me. So out in the middle of 1,500 square kilometers of park. So I was a prophet in the wilderness. I had been a professional student in the United States, going to college forever, and I burned out. And I just was working a bit in the United States, just traveling a bit there, but I didn't have any direction. I didn't have any idea of what I really wanted to do. So I just kind of threw the dice in the air and just saw what came up, and it really changed my life. I expected to spend 2 or 3 years just doing something different, but it just totally, completely changed my life, and it just introduced me to a whole new country, a whole new culture, and a utility that I didn't have in the U.S. I can't even imagine what I'd be doing in the U.S. if I was there now, but here I have a function. I'm doing something that I feel is important.
Every day, Roy hikes the trails of these mountains that nourish the dreams of thousands of diamond hunters and adventurers. To repay this country for all it has given him, Roy has become an amateur historian.
Now just to show you, this is it's an old mining structure here. It was a corrida. They would put water down this ramp here. 90% of the work of a diamond mine here is bringing water to your claim, to your mine, because what diamond mining is separating a couple of milligrams of carbon crystals of diamonds from tons of sand and rock and mud and other things. And the only way you can do that is with water. So the mountains are full of aqueducts here, small ones, big ones, all over the place that bring the water from the river or collect it from rainfall and direct it toward their mines.
All those dreams of riches vanished along with the forests, but the forests will regrow. The precious gems swept along by the rivers are quite scarce now, and nature has reclaimed its own. The Chapada Diamantina has reverted to its wild state.
It is tea. It's organic material. It's not iron or anything like that. It's just the fallen leaves and trees and sticks from the vegetation that the rain just passes through them and picks up the color, just like tea. It is tea.
Usar embaixo da barraca. A filha da gata saindo da imagem. Todo tchau.
Roy has become a local personality. Thanks to his efforts, the Chapada Diamantina is once again a land of exploration, a paradise for hikers and people in search of wide open spaces. In the 1980s, you had to be slightly mad to settle in this old colonial town. Roy has founded a family here. He's become a Brazilian citizen, and he's committed to the protection of this land that has gradually become his own.
This was a town that was very isolated. Well, this whole area here. They had very little experience with they had experience with foreigners 100 years ago during the Diamond Era. But after that, all they really knew about Americans or European, or especially Americans, were what they saw in the movies. This was in the 70s, just spy films and things like that. So they naturally assumed that all Americans were spies. And they couldn't imagine, they really couldn't imagine anyone living here because they just thought it was a nice place. They would say to me, literally, they would say, well, what do you want to live here for? We just want to get out. And I said, well, it's beautiful here. And they go, there's something else here, something else.
Day after day, Roy puts pen to paper. He's drawing up maps to keep the memory of this land alive.
The idea is to put this down on paper before it's lost, to get their history remembered and permanent, whereas now it's very It's very volatile. It's all in their heads, and like I say, this is the last generation of the old-time miners. So we either get this information down now, or it's lost forever.
Roy is now 62, and he still tirelessly hikes through the hills of the region. Today, Anicio, the oldest of the diamond hunters, is out walking with him. This old friend of Roy's is a precious witness, the living memory of the region.
What's the name of this stream?
Labon.
Why?
It comes from Domingo Labon. He came here with capangas, hired guns, outlaws, to kill Joao Cavao. Not many people know about that.
These stories are in danger of disappearing.
My children don't know them. And my grandchildren don't want to know. They say it's ancient history, like me.
No, it's important.
I'm not washed up yet. I'm still lucid.
This is the last generation that lived in the mountains and we worked here and knew it intimately. So I'm just a scribe, but it's all depends on these guys. And the other half of my hobby is what I like to do is wander around the hills here and find all of the old ruins from the diamond mining. It's kind of like modern industrial archaeology.
I love my way of life. I love to strike out into the forest, sleep on the stone or in the branches, like the garamperos.
How old are you?
83.
83? How about that?
I'm not the man I used to be, but I can still get around.
Lá para dentro tem quarto aí.
There's a chamber inside. You're sheltered in there. It's very big.
Mas lá dentro não vai. Olha aí. Tem tocão aí para dentro. É.
This is a toca, a cave. The diamond hunters used it as a makeshift shelter. They'd live here for weeks on end.
Wow, it's really neat. Oh, I need a light, though. Wow.
These galleries wear a man down. Prospecting for diamonds means working in the damp. When you get over 40, you're finished. The stones are cold, you know, and there are a lot of mosquitoes, so we always had to have a fire going. I think of all the others who used to live this life and who are now gone. I think about the past, the old-timers. Back then in the diamond sites, everyone would get together on Saturdays around a big pot of feijoada, and we'd all eat together. We were all friends.
I'm good at finding things, so I would have really loved to have been a miner. When I first came here, that's all I ever did. Not mining, but I went out in the hills with the old miners and learned about the geology of the area, how they worked the mines, where they lived, how they lived. That's all I ever did here for years, was just walk around with the miners. It was kind of like watching the old black and white movies from my childhood in the far west with the miners and their lifestyle up in the hills. The sons of the miners, the sons of the hunters who lived exploiting directly to, hunting game and digging out diamonds and setting fire to everything. Now their sons are guides, and they're green, and they have taken on the banner of conservation and protection. So now their sons are putting out the fires and picking up the garbage and protecting nature. So in one generation, it turned 180 degrees from direct exploitation to indirect use and protection of the area.
Every morning, Roy hikes the national park to feel the history of the Chapada Diamantina beneath his feet. In a few years, the locals will remember this American who traveled from New York and happened onto this place. They'll probably say they'd see him head off into the mountains every day. The ones that knew him will be able to tell how the life of this quiet American was a story of love at first sight between a man and nature.
We could say the spirits of the hills welcome me, and I welcome them, and we have a good relationship. And it's just a really nice place to live, to be in harmony with, to help. I do what I can to protect the hills, and the hills do what they can to protect me. So it's a pretty good relationship, all right? And just a really nice place. And I hope I can keep doing this.
Today, somewhere on Earth is off to discover Ecuador. This little South American country is bordered by the Pacific Ocean with its long, sandy beaches. The Andes cut across north to south. This is the realm of majestic volcanoes. To the east lies the vast Amazon basin and its ageless forest. Xavier left Perpignan in France 20 years ago. This ornithologist moved to Ecuador for its incredible biodiversity. Always on the lookout for new discoveries, his curiosity has drawn him to the roof of Ecuador. Jorge is a ULM pilot. Whenever the weather permits, this adventurer takes to the air to slalom through the clouds and mountain peaks. Today, he'll be helping his friend Armando study a rather surprising animal, the mountain tapir. On the Rio Napo, the rivermen live in harmony with nature. Teo is setting off for the heart of the Amazon. With one foot in his ancestral culture and another in today's modern world, Teo is well placed to understand this hostile environment.
Look at all the wonders we have here, all this beauty. We should be careful with it and cherish it. Then the Mother Earth will thank us and take care of us.
Maria. Venga, 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 venga.
Come, come, Maria.
No responde la Maria.
Maria's not answering.
Maria, Maria.
Angel Paz is a farmer. When he bought this plot of land in the forest, he did what everyone else here does. He started to clear it for planting. But then one day he discovered a new family, the creatures of the forest, hundreds of birds that he has managed to tame.
Shakira.
And since, he has established a rather surprising relationship with them.
Her name is Shakira. I called her that, actually, because she dances like that young Colombian performer. They're part of my family. Like Maria, the bird we were looking for this morning, a giant ampita. I named her Maria, which is my wife's name.
Angel lives in the cloud forest at an altitude of 1,400 meters. This wondrous world is inhabited by gigantic trees and a myriad of colorful birds. When his friend Xavier pays him a visit, Angel is only too happy to share what he's managed to preserve. His passion for the wildlife all around him has changed his life. Now he earns his living by taking bird lovers on tours to observe his family of feathered friends. Thanks to endless patience, the birds respond to his songs and come to eat out of his hand.
It's such a kick with birds like these. It's enough to give you the shivers. These are the kind of spots you can share with people who have the same passion. This makes it twice as much fun, because you're not alone. You think, I'm not crazy. There are other people who are a little off the wall too. It's a good feeling. It's reassuring.
Xavier, a Frenchman from Perpignan, has been living in Ecuador for 20 years. This is where he truly discovered the realm of birds and became an ornithologist. Ecuador is home to 13% of the world's bird species, 1,600 in all. Xavier is now the director of a natural reserve on the fringes of the Amazon. Its goal is to protect this incredible biodiversity. He spends most of his time in the forest, alert for the slightest flutter of a wing.
In any case, man has an animal instinct. So the act of tracking down these birds to observe them or to photograph them, I think it's a throwback to the hunter instinct. It's an attempt to get closer to nature. In this case, it's for a good cause. With others, it's for a bad cause. But I think that deep down, the physiological drive is really the same.
Punta Blanca, a little village situated on the equator, looks out onto the Pacific Ocean. Xavier is making a little visit to his friends, Elsa and Maria, two Ecuadorians who have become fisherwomen with a philosophical bent.
I love freedom. Where are you going? What for? Where have you been? No way. Ask me no questions. I grab my things and I take off where I like. I don't depend on anyone.
When Xavier gets together with his friends, they love to spend hours discussing the state of the world, to the lapping of the ocean waves on the shore.
For me, that phrase pretty much sums up Ecuador. We don't earn much, but we do have fun. It's the festive aspect, a bit Latino. The preference for an enjoyable way of life rather than a rich way of life. It's not what most people are after. You're much more aware of the days and years going by when you're in that frame of mind, rather than trying to fight against time.
Here in Ecuador, Xavier has found what he was looking for: big-hearted people, a rapidly developing country, and above all, lush, thriving wildlife. He's always on the lookout for that rare bird, and he's ready to go hundreds of kilometers to get a shot of a frog in the Amazonian forest or a migratory bird on its way through the Andes. Today, he's headed to Antisana, a volcano close to 6,000 meters high, to meet some glaciologists from Quito.
This route we're following here snakes back and forth, north and south, across the equator. It's very symbolic of Ecuador itself. Really one of the best representations you could get. We're right in the middle of the world. It's funny because I went from Perpignan, which, according to Salvador Dali, is the center of the world, to this place, the middle of the world. There's always that same feeling that has a kind of hold on me.
Xavier is now crossing the Andes through a barren zone of majestic volcanoes and glaciers. Here, up at 4,000 meters, one finds a totally different landscape.
You pass from one landscape to another, one atmosphere to another, one extreme temperature to another, in the blink of an eye. It's really wild. It's fascinating, and you don't get tired of it. You can do it again and again, and each time you'll see the landscape in a different light, with a different atmosphere, with new animals, new colors. It's so rich.
Xavier is nearing Antisana. For several years now, he has been working with a group of glaciologists who are measuring the effects of the climate change.
Basically, it's thanks to my nosy character that I got to know these glaciologists working on the Antisana volcano. Going out in the field with them to help in their observations of these glaciers has given me a better understanding of how this ecosystem works. And it's allowed me to assimilate a lot of complementary information. And that information will help me in my own conservation work.
Gustavo, an accomplished mountaineer, is leading the climb. Juan and Xavier have to follow the pace set by the high mountain guide. "5,100 meters up, the three men attain their first objective, one of Ecuador's highest weather stations.
I collect the temperature and humidity readings recorded by the stations. We have to come and do this job every month. We'll analyze the data later in the lab. What happened? Did it snow? What kind of temperatures have we had? The hardest part is just coming up here.
The climbers continue to make their way up Antisana. Juan and Xavier are aiming to reach a corridor of ice 5,300 meters up. Once there, they'll take a core sample from the heart of the glacier. Every year they come here to study the evolution of the ice and listen to the creaking of this immense frozen torrent.
This mountain is situated in the eastern part of Ecuador. It's under the influence of both the Amazon and the Pacific. We even have certain evidence proving that the climatic phenomena like El Niño and La Niña have an effect on the amount of precipitation this mountain gets. We work on site in the mountains as much as in the laboratory. But in the end, our natural lab is right here. This part here is more recent snow. It's fresher. Here, it's older, more compact. This represents about 1 year of precipitation. I just love all this. If I could work up here every day, it would be ideal. When I climb this volcano, my face just lights up. This mountain is part of me.
Antisana is one of my favorite spots. Firstly, because it's so beautiful. It's really quite extraordinary. It's a very rugged climb, but at the same time very beautiful. So it's a trade-off. Plus, at the base of the glacier, there's an unbelievable biodiversity. People who come to Ecuador and fall in love with it do so because of the amazing landscapes and the generosity of nature, which has given us all this vast space and riches.
Xavier has found here the vistas that fulfill his dreams of freedom. He has found his place at 0 degrees latitude on the equator. Traveling the wilderness of Ecuador is a unique experience. Jorge is an adventurer of the sky and a pioneer of ultralight aviation in South America. He's been flying over his country with its limitless horizons for 27 years.
It gives you such an intense feeling of freedom. You can enjoy the scenery and fly wherever you want without worrying about the road or traffic. With this plane, you're free. It's not at all expensive, and you can go wherever large planes can't, and land on much shorter runways. You're flying with the wind, blowing through your fingers and on your face. Ecuador is a small country with a lot of diversity. You're in these 6,000-meter mountains, and an hour later you can be down on the Pacific coast, on the beach, or in the tropical forest. It's very rich.
Jorge is a pilot, writer, and high mountain guide. A photographer as well. His books on Ecuador from the sky have made him famous throughout the country. Now he's preparing for his next flight into the Paramo, a mountainous zone 4,000 meters up. There he's going to meet a friend, Armando, a naturalist.
Armando called me. I have to make a flight. He's got a problem with the instrument he uses to locate the wild animals. I'm going to bring him a spare cable up near Ayacachi. Then I'll come back.
Ya vuelvo.
Jorge, the self-taught aviator, built his first ULM in his own hangar. He learned how to fly without an instructor. He was a pioneer 30 years ago. He flew above the Andes in his ULM all the way down to Patagonia, the southernmost point of South America. Jorge is flying over the Paramo. It would be impossible for him to land in these swampy mountains. He spots Armando from the plane and decides to fly in closer. He has to drop a little parachute with the equipment that will allow Armando to carry on his mission. Armando and his team are trying to locate mountain tapirs, the emblematic mammal of the Paramo. Some of them have been equipped with radio transmitters. This timid animal is an endangered species, but Armando hopes that by studying its behavior, he will be able to do a better job of protecting them.
Without this cable, it's practically impossible to locate the tapir. We know he's in this area, but it's going to take some time to find out exactly where. But then he might get wind of us, and we won't be able to get close. Without the radio localization, we can't do anything. So many thanks to Jorge, who managed to fly up here despite the bad weather conditions. But he's really an ace. The cable is really very important. Now that we have it, we'll be able to localize the tapir and track him down. I hope we'll be able to observe him without disturbing him.
The ULM is an all-terrain machine. Thanks to it, Jorge can do precious favors for those working in the country's more isolated regions. Jorge and his ULM have helped a good number of scientists in their research. He takes up archaeologists on observation flights over the Inca sites, volcanologists to get in close to the still active volcanoes, and biologists to spot birds nesting in the canopy of the Amazonian forest.
It's total freedom. There's no private property up in the sky. No stoplights, no reckless drivers. If you're curious about what's on the other side of the mountain, you just go there. If you want to take a look at the bottom of a valley, you fly down. You're living a form of freedom. Plus, it allows you to see the beauty of the world from a different point of view. This motor is adapted for flying. It's totally reliable because the vital parts are backed up with a spare. But it's rather simple. You have to take good care of it because if something happens up in the air, you can't just pull over and take a look under the hood. But it's rather simple and very dependable. It runs well. She's a good gal.
Flying up at 5,000 meters in such a light craft is not something just any pilot can do. Jorge has the humility of those who are living out their dreams to the fullest and who aren't afraid of anything. Now Armando's detector is working. He and Jorge have taken to the air to locate the mountain tapers fitted with radio transmitters. Not much is known about this strange, rare animal. Armando is the world's specialist on spectacled bears and mountain tapirs, two endangered species. The area Jorge and Armando just flew over is a reserve, but elsewhere, the mountain tapir is hunted. These two men are studying all the wild animals living in these protected but inaccessible regions.
Jorge has been a great help in locating the animals we're studying. He gives me their coordinates and tells me if they're on the move, where he has detected them. Frankly, the only way to pick up the signal in this region is the ULM. It's not possible otherwise, and it's very expensive to rent a helicopter.
I take pictures while I'm flying. I also use this opportunity to listen for the signals from the bears. Sometimes I'll go up without Armando, just to see if the bears say hello.
In just a few minutes, clouds moving in from the Amazon have heaped up on the Paramo mountains, and a storm obscures the horizon. The flight with Jorge has allowed Armando to home in on the mountainside where a tapir is living. He's now continuing his pursuit on foot. The terrain is tough going, with high grass and pockets of icy water. At last, they arrive at the mountain tapir's sanctuary.
It's really close now. It's very important to study this animal because we know so little about it. If we were to know it a little better, we might be able to protect it and save it.
The Paramo lies on the fringe of two worlds, between sky and earth. Armando, in his study of the last mountain tapers, is merely passing through these age-old landscapes that will remain forever untamed. Jorge, on board his ULM, never tires of flying over these territories which he finds so fascinating. And even though he knows that he's merely skimming the surface of these vast virgin expanses, he is fulfilling his dreams of adventure. Teo is on his way home to his village after a long scientific expedition on the Rio Napo. Teo is one of the best guides of the Amazon, one of the few to dare travel these rivers that snake deep into the jungle. He'll be collecting plants from the riverbanks all along the way home.
For me, there's nothing better than living an adventure like this. We see the wonders of the Amazon, which is like the eye of the world, the center of the earth. And if we don't take advantage of it now, all this will be lost with the passing of time. All this vegetation will disappear. Here, nature's at her very best.
When Teo was 20, he had the opportunity to leave his country for England. In Leeds, he discovered another jungle, the city. He studied natural sciences and earned a diploma in biology. Then a few years later, he came back to Ecuador, where he quickly resumed his place in his native community on the banks of the Rio Napo, deep in the forest. Navigating this river is a lesson in patience and solitude. It winds through the Amazon for over 1,000 kilometers. It takes its source in the west, in the glaciers of the Andes, and meets the Amazon River in Peru. Teo's pirogue is the ideal boat for traveling down the river. He has christened it Hauira Kausai, go like the wind. It's a long and dangerous trip down the river. There are many obstacles, and they're constantly shifting. Sandbanks and submerged tree trunks become mortal traps. Teo in the prow keeps his eyes glued to the surface of the river. He's looking for the best path through the water and guiding Claudio, the pilot. And here's what happens most of the time. The water level is very low. Teo has to pull the boat along the shore. It's the only way to get past the shallow sandbank. And here is the gateway to the vast Amazon basin. This is the world's largest rainforest, 1.5 times the size of Europe. The Amazon is a legend. It looks like a vast green poncho rolling off into the endless horizon. An El Dorado coveted for its riches, it evokes both a green inferno and paradise lost. The Amazon is menaced by deforestation and the extraction of oil. For years now, the indigenous communities like Teos have been organizing and taking action for the recognition of their ancestral rights. Once nomads of the forest, they have gradually become the main defenders of this green continent. Termites are a delicacy for piranhas. The little predators serve as bait to catch bigger ones. Today's menu, Amazon piranha.
Ay, 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 mierda, se me fue la grande, loco, chucha.
It's over 40 degrees, and the sweltering heat beats down like a hammer on the men and nature. The Amazonian jungle may appear harsh and inhospitable, yet for Teo and his companions, it's like a childhood friend, a land of plenty, all within easy reach.
Me siento feliz porque estoy en el centro de.
I'm happy here because I'm living in the lungs of the earth, in the center. No pollution, no buildings, no skyscrapers. All you can see are huge trees, incredible lagoons, unspoiled rivers, like this one here.
There's no relief from the heat here, even after the sun goes down. With the darkness, a different world is unveiled. To get back to his village, Teo crosses the Panacocha Lagoon, a labyrinth of channels, lakes, and flooded forest. water, light, and a world of exuberant greenery. Life is bursting out here in all its forms. The lagoon is an eerie mirror, reflecting the image of an age-old, inaccessible garden.
To carry through this kind of adventure, it's really important, first off, that we all trust one another. You have to have a tightly knit group. We have to be able to anticipate what needs to be done and prepare very carefully for the expedition to be a success. Because it may look easy, but in the jungle, you have to make sacrifices and sweat for the group to keep functioning smoothly and to get what you're after. 3 centuries ago, the early explorers also experienced the hardships of an adventure in the Amazon. In 1736, a French research expedition led by Charles-Marie de la Condamine landed in Ecuador. They came to verify whether the Earth was a perfect sphere or not. And they paid a very heavy toll for the measurements that they carried out. The expedition was ravaged by tropical diseases. For the return journey to France, La Condamine undertook the tremendous gamble of heading east across the Amazon jungle. The explorers, with their native guides, had to survive in the heart of the forest. They followed the rivers down to the Amazon and eventually reached Brazil. During this return trip, Charles-Marie de la Condamine mapped the rivers of the region and made a detailed description of the cinchona tree, which yields quinine used to prevent malaria. He also discovered the rubber tree and the usage of curare. The expedition would last 10 years. At the heart of native spirituality are strong links between man, nature, and the cosmos. This culture is deeply ingrained in Teo. In the jungle, he feels the force of the spirits that dwell there. He recalls the legends that his mother passed on to him as she would drink guayusa, a brew of forest plants. This tradition is a time-honored ritual. It's the moment for the elders to relate the stories that continue to forge the native culture. The shamans always invoke Pachamama, the sacred earth mother.
They say that the goddess Pachamama has the power to petrify the animals of the forest. This goddess will return when the earth can no longer bear what we've been inflicting on her. She will come back as a very old person with a long beard. And then she will release all the petrified animals who will exterminate the humans.
This indigenous spiritual vision allows one to understand how the world was before and how to live better in today's world as well. These stories tell how, at the beginning, Pachamama had blessed our planet, She's the one who created things as they are for us. This harmony of nature, man and animal. I firmly believe in this vision, which has been handed down to us through these stories.
Teo's mother has asked him to collect certain specific plants. For a long time, the communities of the Amazon kept the secrets of medicinal plants to themselves. Even now, all the communities on the Rio Napo still use these natural remedies.
Look, this one's good. Go ahead. Make a cut here.
What we do is collect the sap of this tree. We use it as a natural medicine. It can be used to treat malaria and diabetes. We call it dragon's blood.
This is one of the most useful trees in the Amazon. It has a number of virtues. For example, you can use it to heal wounds. You do like this, and it becomes a cream. It's also good as protection from the sun. Plus, with 1, 2, maximum 3 drops of sap, you can purify 1 liter of water.
Aquí está uno. Vamos a sacar acá.
Here we have a very special tree of the Amazon. This species of palm tree grows straight up to benefit from the sunlight. But if another tree overshadows it and takes the light, it will start to move. It can move up to 60 centimeters a year. The pregnant women here use it during labor because it helps dilate the cervix and ease the birth. It's one of the best natural remedies we have around here. Nowadays, the younger generation doesn't care about medicinal plants. They want what's easy. They just go to the pharmacy. If they have a stomachache, for example, they buy pills. Whereas here, there's so much more, and it's natural, no chemicals.
Sin químico.
The modern world has been knocking at the Amazon's door for quite a while now. And today, Teo's life balances between these two opposing cultures that he would like to unite.
I see things from the indigenous point of view. I see a dim future for Pachamama, our Earth Mother. If man doesn't protect her, our planet will explode like a bomb. Look at all the wonders we have here, all this beauty. We should be careful with it and cherish it. Then Pachamama will thank us and take care of us.